Hey everyone, National Master Steven Adams here, and I want to talk to you today about exchanging on good terms. Most players, upon learning the game of chess, will hear about the relative values of the pieces. A pawn is worth 1, a knight and bishop 3, a rook 5, and a queen 9. These integers can be refined a bit more sophisticatedly. You can start to use decimal points to, you know, give the value of the pieces, and eventually we progress to thinking about the roles of the pieces as well. We know, for example, that it's advantageous to trade a bad bishop for an opponent's minor piece, and that many winning attacks hinge on sacrificing, which is quite literally trading for an important defender near the opponent's king. But all of these focus on what's being traded. Let's talk about how these pieces are traded. This first example comes from a rapid game I played a little bit ago. Let's take a quick look at this situation. We're going to capture white's bishop on c5. B takes c5 will be played, whereupon white's going to capture the rook on f8, and we'll end up in an endgame where the material balance is white having 2 rooks and 5 pawns, while black has a rook, a bishop, and 7 pawns. So white will have a rook, and black will have a bishop and 2 pawns for it. The remaining question is, of course, what happens with the queens? A queen trade here is inevitable. If we retreat the queen, like let's say we back it up, well, then white has time to capture the rook on f8, and we can't win back both of their pieces. They'll have time to save one of their minor pieces. So what we should be thinking is how do we get the best possible queen trade? So if we go queen to g4 check, white's going to block with queen to g3. They still want to trade queens, as white's king would be very exposed after something like king h2 here. So they still want this queen trade. So we trade the queens, and then we do have the remaining piece exchanges. So b takes c5, knight takes f8, and king takes f8. So we would reach this endgame, and we can now show the alternative, which is the immediate trade of queens, which is queen takes f3, b takes c3, b takes c5, knight takes f8, king takes f8. So what's the difference? Here in the alternate position, white's pawn is on c3 instead of b2. This makes a tremendous difference since now the b file is open, and this favors white since they have the 2 rooks. And since white has 2 rooks to black 1, white will want to trade rooks to reduce the redundancy of their pieces. If you have 2 rooks versus a rook and minor piece, it's almost always good to trade the rooks. The open file makes this trade a likelihood, since white can double rooks on the b file and infiltrate with rook b8. But if we look at what I played in the game instead, which is queen to g4, we would see that the pawn is still on b2. So if we play out the moves here, we see that this pawn is still on b2. And this is very important for 3 reasons. 1, the b file is still closed. 2, the b2 pawn is backward and it's a target for our rook on b8. And 3, there are no open files in this position for white's rook to infiltrate. So accumulating small advantages like this can go a long way in winning chess games. That's why I call this video Earning Interest on Your Exchanges. It might not look like much, but it adds up over the course of a game. Remember that there's no such thing as an even trade. One side will benefit from a trade whether by the value of the pieces or by the manner in which it is traded. So always make an effort to have the upper hand in these exchanges. I hope this was helpful. I think I'll make a second part to this since I have some more ideas on the subject, and that'll be what I talk about in my next videos. But for now, thanks for watching.